Welcome to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard.
I'm Noah.
And we are finally getting back to
One Piece.
One Piece.
Your journey through this massive story.
It is a massive story, and as I was prepping for tonight, and I'll be totally honest with you, I blew off everything I was supposed to be doing in the store today to get ready for tonight. And one of the things that I realized, you know, I've always enjoyed the interaction with everybody who watches and leaves comments.
Yes.
And then I realized how much I care. I mean, how much I care about making sure that our One Piece
is good.
Material is good, because it's not that I don't care about the other stuff that we do, but I mean, let's face it, not that many people watch it. So,
not as many people watch it, although we do appreciate those of you who are, because I see the numbers going up.
They are going up, and we are grateful for that.
We are very grateful for anything else. And we're grateful for you if you just come for the One Piece as well.
Oh, most definitely. This has turned out to be just a tremendous amount of fun.
Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah. So much fun.
So I started reading all of this as we were going on vacation. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading on the plane, I was reading in the hotels, I was reading when we got back, then life got crazy. So today was a whole bunch of digging through notes and looking at notes and saying, what the heck did I mean when I wrote that? So, but between talking in person with people who grew up reading One Piece, mm-hmm. and seeing the comments that people have left in a lot of our videos, there's one thing that I think I appreciate now. Okay. Is that the people who grew up reading One Piece and getting an episode a week, you know, they would read it. Mm-hmm. It was like comic books when we were a kid. You'd go home and you'd read through it.
Exactly.
But then you got to the end of it and you're like, I have a week to wait to get to the next one. So you reread it. And then when you reread it and you study it, you notice so much more.
Yeah.
And that is something that I haven't been doing because I am swallowing huge chunks of One Piece.
Yes. Obviously, it's your first time through.
Exactly.
And everyone, I mean, obviously from the comments that I've read, your first reactions are great. You know, it's really fun to get the fresh takes and see what you notice, see what you don't notice. But I mean, if you were ahead and needed to go back and reread it, I assume you caught a little more on the second go-round?
I did, and here's the thing. I debated whether or not to say this, and I may have mentioned this in our last video. I hadn't thought my way all the way through. But one of the things that I noticed this reading is big art versus small art.
Yes.
And I think I mentioned that briefly, but I'm not certain that I really...
You haven't really focused on
it and explained it.
Yeah.
So it was this reading, it was this trip through. It was Whisky Peak, mm-hmm. and it was... I keep wanting to call it Olive Garden, but it's...
Olive Garden?
So it was Reverse Mountain, Whisky Peak, and Olive Garden, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Perfect.
As I'm going through, this is where I really started to notice these things, and the question that's running through my head is, did I miss this concept in the first chapters, okay. or is this just part of Oda's development as a writer that started to come out in these later chapters?
Okay.
Right? That's my question. Because, you know, I'm always interested in the writing process.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, the author as a growing, developing author. And so what I am talking about is there are pieces of artwork which are large, mm-hmm. and they just exude power. And I think that that's something that this section of the story, I'm going to show you in just a moment. This section...
Is it the one I think?
Well, so I have actually 12 pages of notes.
Oh, jeez.
So let's just jump ahead.
Yep, that's that. Okay, it's that this in right the following here. Scene. That okay. In the following one.
And so we have, you know, you have Mrs. Wednesday, or is it Miss Wednesday? It's Miss Wednesday and Mr. 5. Right?
I don't even...
Who are...
I'll be completely honest. Real quick sidetrack. I know one name out of all the code names just because of the way he did it.
Okay.
Like, if you show me the design, I'll remember the person, obviously. But like, so many of them were Miss Wednesday, Miss
All right,
All
it was
Sunday,
Miss Mr. Five.
Valentine, Mr. Five,
right?
yeah.
It's
yeah,
Miss Valentine and Mr. Five. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get, and I'll come back to this one in just a moment, but you get these drawings that just exude power of Luffy and Zoro.
I love this panel.
Okay.
Love this, and the panel that immediately follows it.
So I don't know. I'm curious as to which translation of this panel is the correct one, because my book has them turning and saying "shut up,"
Okay.
and the online manga is "God, you two are annoying," both of which really
Are just
work.
great.
Yeah.
Either way,
Right.
it works.
But there's so much power that comes from this.
Yes,
Okay.
isn't it?
It zooms off the page, and then you follow that, and this is the thing that
That
this
too.
right here. Okay.
I would get rid of the text blocks. I would get that tattooed.
So
Like, I would be willing to get that tattooed.
This is amazing. Now, I've heard the story about the I keep getting it wrong. The power players in this.
Yeah, the monster trio.
The monster trio, that's it, right? I don't know why I keep forgetting that phrase.
It's okay.
But this is the section of the book that really introduces it. I mean, you see it in Arlong Park. You see it, right?
But this is where
Right.
where Oda likes to sometimes take a step back, put the Straw Hats in a situation they are completely over leveled for. You know, like they've been grinding the side quests, they've got all the good gear, and they just solo all the bosses.
They've been distracted by.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Putting it in turn, their skill ceiling is too high for the people that they're fighting.
Gotcha.
He gives occasionally chances for them to just flex on everyone.
Well, the interesting thing is that in Arlong Park, you're introduced to Zoro's power because you see the end result of the flex while he's injured. In Whisky Peak, you see him having fun, blowing through 100 bounty hunters.
All these guys,
just, and he's like, is anybody going to give me a challenge?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's just a joy.
It is. It's actually a lot of fun, but the the interesting part about this is that this takes place while Luffy is attacking Zoro, and they're having this battle, and in the middle of the battle, they swat away Miss Valentine and Mr. Five like they're flies.
Exactly, just like a second thought.
And so you see the bodies up here flying away, and so that's big art. This is the stuff that really stands out and makes you appreciate exactly how powerful these are. And there's something in the way he draws Luffy up close, and I'm wondering if I actually copied this picture or not, and I don't think I did, but there is a picture of Luffy that he has drawn where you see his arm in his hand, and then the hand is in the foreground of the picture, and it's just power. It just exudes power. It just exudes power. Now, if you contrast that with what I call small art, fat Luffy walking across the screen is just a riot.
That reminds me of like there's a Calvin. I'll splash it. There's this one. Every time I see this art of Luffy, I think of like this Calvin and Hobbes art where he has packed on like 5 layers of clothing and he's just waddling
out like that.
I don't remember why he did it. Like it was either cold or he didn't want to get like pounced on, but it was so funny. And I always think of that every time because it gives me that like nostalgic cartoon vibe.
So this is the one. This is my best example, and I'm sorry this is a little bit blurry when you print it. You've got Vivi, and Mr. 9 is getting his butt kicked. Here in the background, we've got 5, and we've got Miss Valentine down there, and here we have Zoro running off, sprinting up, dragging fat Luffy, and in its geez, some noisy night this is. don't mind me, we're getting out of here. So I started noticing all of these small characters and all of these small
little details that he weaves in there. Yeah.
Right, and that's small art. That's because just look at the size. It's not the focal point of it. And that's what I mean by small art. It's not the focal point of the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got it's like foreground versus background.
Yes.
He has a completely different way of portraying it. And it's a way to it's really interesting because you're analyzing a drawn medium that you're seeing. That's a good example of it, obviously, because you've got serious stuff going on in the foreground, intimidating shadows in the background, and then a splash of comedy on the side as the Straw Hats try to get out of dodge.
It's hysterical.
It is. It's great. It's great.
So I'm discovering all of this, and this is what leads to the question: did I miss it before, or was it not there before?
No, that's okay. That's been there
since the beginning.
Mostly since the beginning.
Okay.
I think he starts to develop it more from this point out, because again, I've been rereading this in the batches as we prepare for these videos, because I've seen the show, obviously.
Right.
I've read the manga, in its entirety. So this is like my third time going through it from start to finish. I was reading the manga to see the original work, but now I'm really doing the study of it.
Right.
I read the manga for pleasure, just to see what the original version of the story was, and now I'm rereading it and seeing those details. So I can see where he wanted that to be, a thing he incorporates more in the beginning. But I think, after 100 chapters and he's like solid in his idea of what he's, what he wants to do with the story, he's starting to incorporate these elements more, and it becomes more of a focal point.
Okay.
More of a focus. So
my other example, one that I truly enjoyed, and this one actually made me laugh out loud, is this example as they're leaving Whisky Peak, and it's Miss All Sunday shows up.
Yes.
Okay, she's number 2 in charge of Baroque Works. She appears on the boat. She has some sort of magical ability, telekinesis, whatever it is, and she has thorouhtherly pissed off Luffy because she took his hat.
Yeah, she took his hat.
And, and you see how angry he is. And this is absolutely, so here he says, "You big meanie." In my book, it says, "You big doofhead," something like that. And here in the corner is Zoro standing. And this version, he says, "How old are you?"
Yeah.
And in my book, he says, "That's telling her," which I found to be hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a laugh out loud moment. And so I am now, for the first time, this has just been a long roundabout way of saying, I'm now for the first time discovering these things that the original readers would have captured week after week after week, as while they filled their time waiting for the next episode by rereading and restudying what was going on.
Yeah.
Right. And so it just makes me kind of appreciate everybody out there, their journey. Everybody who grew up with One Piece, their journey. So that was really cool. That
really
whole part of doing
That's
this. It
awesome.
was. And I noticed it on the plane. Of course, I was captive audience 8 hours.
Yeah, obviously.
Right. So I don't think we really need to do, like a blow by blow of everything that happens.
It's Reverse Mountain, it's Whisky Peak, and it's Little Garden. Right. And I think especially with what's going on that sounded violent.
Wow.
I think with everything that's currently going on, people will have at least a refresher of what's going on back there.
So there are things that I truly enjoyed. First of all, I had seen a little bit about the whale.
Yeah.
While Mama Peaches was watching.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a surprise, but it was delightfully short and different and more pleasing to read it than it was to watch it.
Yes.
And so,
I can totally see that.
I enjoyed that. There's little things that just stuck out, like, Crocus scolding the crew for being rude, introducing himself by saying, "I'm a lighthouse keeper, I'm 71, I'm a Gemini."
AB blood type.
AB blood type, And so, the first time through, I missed that Wednesday and Mr. Nine were whalers looking to kill.
They were trying to kill Laboon for the meat.
Right. Yeah, just to eat.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah.
We get the whole story, about Laboon and the 50-year wait for the crew that was supposed to come back, and you understand why the whale is, behaving the way he is.
Yeah.
And Crocus is keeping him alive by tranquilizing him, right?
Yeah.
The again, Oda capitalizes on emotional pain.
Yes.
And just, reaches and grabs your heart, twists it, squeezes it a little bit, lets it go. Crocus does an excellent job giving exposition, describing what navigation through the Grand Line is like.
Yes.
And that's something that the audience needs. And,
Yes.
and it's, it's very nice. Swimming in stomach acid is really disgusting, just in concept. And I'm wondering why his eyeballs didn't melt when he dove down and disappeared. But there's two things about the whole Laboon segment that stands out for me.
Okay. Yeah.
One is Crocus looking at Luffy and saying that boy has a strange air about him. I mean, it's like, character to watch.
What is your is that all your translation says?
That's all my translation said, is what that boy has a strange air about him. That was the line that my translation had.
But there was no other. I'm so used to specific books, like where I've read manga,
right,
that I feel like it was a completely different thought bubble. You're gonna know what I'm talking about. Just say yes or no in the comments, please.
Well, no. What did yours say? No, go ahead. It's not a spoiler. I've seen this.
It essentially says the same thing, except either that boy has a strange air about him, or that boy there's something odd about that boy, or something. He says, at least in my translation, and I can pull this up to confirm it.
Okay.
But he says, "Don't you think, Roger?"
I do remember seeing something like that.
Okay. I'm not being crazy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the quote finishes with him going like, "Hey, Roger," or "What do you think, Roger?"
No. My book did have that, and
Okay,
I
cool.
didn't understand it, so I just let it go. I thought to myself, okay, we're going to try and figure out who Roger is. Who's he talking to? And then I just let it go.
Gold Roger.
But Gold Roger's dead.
Exactly. Like, he's not speaking to someone right in front of him.
Right. Okay.
It's like,
right. Okay. Gotcha.
It's like your buddy dies and you say, your son's growing up to be a man, don't you think?
You know all the people out there who scolded me for doing research?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just letting that one go.
There's only one person in the series named Roger.
All right. So I will say this, Luffy, picks the fight with the whale. They go at it for a little bit, and then he says, "I'm coming back, and we're going to finish this." Now, I know what Luffy's doing. He's trying to get this whale to calm down.
Yeah.
He's trying to get this whale to stop self-harm.
Yep.
He's trying to get this whale to, relax. But you find out that the whale has no other way to get home. This is not his home.
Yep.
All right. And of course, it doesn't help that we know that whales are incredibly intelligent, creatures, and they're like the elephant of the sea.
Yeah.
And so,
and even more so in a fantasy series.
Exactly. All I can say is this: Luffy better freaking return to Laboon before the series ends. He had better hold up his promise, because otherwise he's no better than the pirates that abandoned Laboon. And I am telling you, I better see it. I had better see it. I don't care at what point. I don't know if it's happened already. I don't know if it's going to happen. But if Oda is a stickler for details, he's
a stickler for details, and I think you will be thoroughly entertained when this whole concept gets revisited.
Okay, so
That's all I'll say.
that's all you'll say. And
That's
so
all I'm gonna say.
then, so when I was reading this, my first thought was, okay, who was this pirate crew, and is there any chance that it was Shank's crew? Now, age-wise, that doesn't work, and I realized that right away. But then you see the picture of a friendly pirate in a cowboy hat and a riding jacket, talking to Crocus. Is that Gold Roger? Was it Gold Roger's crew that? Was it Gold? Was it Gold
I'm
Roger's
not saying
crew? Was it Gold?
anything. So here's the thing.
It was Gold
I
Roger's
mentioned this
crew.
last time.
It was Gold Roger's crew.
It's
Oh, that makes so much sense with the Roger. Okay.
It's funny being in this situation.
Now I understand.
It's fun being in this situation. I'll just say that. It's fun being in this situation.
I will be disappointed if it wasn't Gold Roger now. But he didn't. Anyway, that was fun. There's very little that we can get past each other. We've been doing this a long time. Anyway, I remember having this thought on the plane once we got through this and we were heading out towards Cactus Island where Whisky Peak is.
They're just called the Cactus Rocks.
Oh, Cactus Rocks. Okay.
But Whisky Peak,
right. And I realized that this book could be very much like formulaic TV. In that it's like, the Starship Enterprise goes planet to planet to planet, and each place you go, different problems, different obstacles to overcome, the whole bit.
I mean, you just kind of nailed the whole series.
Yeah, I mean that's
for the most part.
Yeah,
not gonna BS you.
Right.
It's very much a go to place, see what's going on, get involved, that sort of thing.
And hopefully they all advance the story in some way that shows character growth, that shows plot development, that shows everything working towards the end. But it's no wonder when this has gone on 25 years. It's unlimited. You can repeat this forever. Right.
Oh yeah, and because it has that formula to it, he can just plug whatever his crazy mind comes up with.
Okay, and so what his crazy mind comes up with really got splashed on the page when they drifted into the calm seas.
Yes.
And you get this display of sea creatures with Marigo being this tiny little boat on top of it. Right.
Scale that he plays with is insane.
It is, and it was fun. And then you just realize, okay, this is no holds barred imagination.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that is exhibited nothing better than Mayor Agarapoy, also known as Mr. 8, also known as Commander Agaram, right? Ingaram, that's it.
I believe.
They're killing me, these names.
Yeah.
With the curly hair with the guns in them.
Yeah.
And I just thought
pulls on bow tie.
Well, and I couldn't help but think to myself, did they make this a child's toy? Because I mean, what great marketing to make a child's toy that shoots things out of, right? Well, and then there's a point in here where
there's a gun in my hair.
I got a 25 caliber hairdo. But this actually comes up in Zorro's text a little bit later, and I just thought to myself, it's brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
So we have an island where unsuspecting pirates are fueled with food and drink and an orgy of gluttony, so that they can be captured by bounty hunters and sold to the world government. Actually, it's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad little scheme, yeah.
And then
nice little racket.
You see the intelligence of both Nami and Zorro when they don't allow themselves to go down that path. They fake it. They do a real good job. But Zorro says a good swordsman never allows himself, to get wiped out. Whereas Usopp and Luffy, right?
And Sanji.
Right, go down that path. So we get Zorro's display of power, which is just a fun romp, like we discussed earlier. It's just an absolute fun romp, and then we get introduced to a bunch of little things, and some of this falls into I had to go back and take a look at the art. So now I'm suddenly aware of the art.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Karoo, the bird, his barrel and straw. We have this whole concept, of the Saint Bernard with the whiskey barrel, except he's got a straw.
Yep.
And it's not for the person he's saving. It's for him, right?
It's for him.
And
I love Karoo.
Okay,
I'll be real honest.
So
I love Karoo.
So I think the thing that really made me laugh truly when I read this, and I just sat back and appreciated the humor of it, and now I have to find it. 12 pages of notes, people. 12 pages of notes.
A lot of it is
I'm reproducing pictures, but
so that we can reference it.
You can't talk about this stuff, and apparently I didn't print it, but and I thought I did, when Vivi does her enchanting hypnotic dance.
Yeah, that thing.
Right, that thing. Karoo is very quietly standing there, sipping on the contents of the barrel.
Yeah,
like nothing's going on.
Nothing,
he's just like,
he's
she's
there.
doing that. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
And I laughed out loud when I got to that moment. I truly did enjoy that. It was Zorro who was asking if Mr. Nine is some kind of toy. It was a brilliant. I just thought if Oda wanted to suggest to toy makers that there was a marketing plan here, it is Zorro asking if this guy who shoots a hide-a-bat out of his arm could actually be a kid's play toy that shoots a bat out of his arm. And I just remember thinking, oh, that was great. That was actually great. All right. So, I don't know exactly how to read this one right here.
Nasty Ninja 808.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, is that what the Ninja 808? Okay, Nasty Ninja 808. You left a comment on our last video that I truly appreciated when we were talking specifically about Nami talking about knowledge is treasure. We had that whole conversation about treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And what he wrote was, the most un-Nami thing she could ever say, Nami likes money and tangerines, but One Piece live action will cloud her character a bit here. And I was really glad that Nasty Ninja left that comment, because I left this out of our discussion of
the live action.
Nami's character has just bugged me. Okay. And it's bugged me from the beginning of One Piece manga. It bugged me through live action. It has nothing to do with Emily. It's Emily Rudd.
Emily Rudd, yeah.
It had nothing to do with her.
Okay.
In fact, I really enjoyed her performance as Nami.
Yeah.
But there's some disconnects taking place.
Mm-hmm.
One Piece live action is changing her character. And it's changing her character in a way that I don't particularly like.
Okay.
Because I'm always kind of an absolutist, stick to the original source material.
Yeah.
All right. However, there are some things that they've changed that I do like.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm stuck here thinking, okay, which way are we going with this whole thing? I'm not a big fan of the over-sexualization of women in manga. I'm just not.
Yeah.
But it's part of it, and so. But I think there's two things about Nami that didn't come out in live action. She's almost schizophrenic. She goes from being calm to being furious, angry in a split second, and then goes right back to she just flares up and comes down.
She's the biggest example of it, because she's supposed to be the straight man to everyone else's craziness.
And to back up Nasty Ninja's comment, Nami puts a price on saving the princess.
Yes, she does.
Okay,
straight up.
So
straight up, doesn't even consider.
And I remember sitting back on the plane and thinking, she's far more of a pirate than she wants to believe she is.
Yeah,
she's got the instincts of a pirate.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. I mean, she grew up working for a pirate crew, so yeah.
And she grew up working to find every way of making money she possibly could. So maybe this has become a part of her behavior, right? And so when it comes time to to save the princess, she's in negotiation mode.
Yes,
right?
she is.
And
she is.
And that aspect of her character didn't come out in live action.
No,
No,
not quite.
not yet. I'm
yet.
hoping that it comes out in season 2. I'm hoping that it comes out, that we see the more faithful to the original aspect of the character. I'd like to see her maybe get a little bit angrier, right? And this all depends on the writers and which way they want to take it, because this is a writing issue. This is not a performance or an acting issue, right? But then here's the other thing that we get, and it's this picture right here. She can turn on the charm and the cutesy in a split second. And what she does a great job is she can manipulate Zorro.
Yes.
And she can manipulate Sanji. Well,
obviously, so everyone, any
girl can manipulate Sanji. But the way she does it, and so here, she gets her price, and then she tells Zorro, go do the work, and he's like, me, what me? And she says, you owe me money. Yeah. And it's the interest. She charged him 300% interest. And he wanted the sword so badly, he agreed to pay it. And I think the funniest part about that for me, and this is where a whole bunch of the pictures come into play here, is they're having this argument right here, and she's saying, aren't you forgetting something? She reminds him of the deal that they made, right? And then she says, look at the face right there. Are you saying that you can't even keep a simple promise? And then here is the payoff for the joke right there. Yeah. And this is a feeling that every guy who's ever been in a relationship knows, and knows all too well. You're like, fine, I'll do it. It doesn't change even after 28 years of marriage. It doesn't change. And so, and and of course, this is where we get Fat Luffy walking through the middle of that battle scene.
Just finished a massive meal.
And then talking about having to go to the bathroom. It's just not only do we get the comic relief of the artwork of Fat Luffy walking through, we get just a hint of clean bathroom humor coming through, there, which just made it that much more fun. So the middle of this, where we get this Luffy, I've been thinking a lot about this one, where Luffy picks this fight with Zorro because he believes that everyone on the island had the best of intentions, and Zorro knows the truth of what's going on, and Luffy just loses his mind and attacks Zorro. And here we have two equally empowered, opponents, and they're not going to beat each other. Nobody's going to win here. And Zorro kicks Fat Luffy. He blows through a wall. He comes back out, and he's dragging number 5.
He's dragging number 5.
He's dragging number 5, and it's beautiful. He says, all that made for some good exercise. And that's when I sat back and I thought to myself, how powerful is he? I mean, this is Baroque works. This is the 5th in charge, and this is just a warm-up. This is like stretching. And I finally managed to digest all that food I ate. It's hysterical. He's just so casual about it. But you finally get a sense of his raw power and ability, in a way that didn't come out in the first 100 chapters.
I mean, in the first 100 chapters, he's fighting people that are supposed to be a challenge. Because you have to have, especially early on, your main character has to have a challenge. That's why I said this is an arc where it's almost like he's allowing the characters to flex their growth.
Yes.
Luffy had to, it wasn't, I wouldn't say that it was like a challenge to fight, the first few baddies that he did, but he definitely wasn't able to, so easily blow through them. There was a challenge to overcome there. Although I don't think he took half those fights seriously at the beginning. But this is a scenario where he gets to just kind of flex the characters. Like, the characters have kind of earned this chance to show off. and show how much they've grown and show what they're like when you get them at their peak potential. Like, no injuries, no BS,
Yes.
no nothing.
Yes.
He's just giving you a refresher to give you this like it's like presetting,
Well,
where it's like, okay, just to catch you up to speed, this is the level he's at now. This is the level they are all at now. And now, as we move forward,
right.
you're going to start to see the next, wave of challenges.
So where I told you this one's going to be just a little bit different, we're not going to get through Olive Garden today.
Okay.
And I'm saving it for a reason.
Okay.
I'm saving it for a reason because I really want to take a deeper dive into this. These arcs are so long. I don't want to try and cover an entire arc, and I hope you all don't mind, but I'm going to take these in more bite-sized, manageable chunks and do them more frequently.
Okay.
All right, which will be a change for us.
A little bit, yeah.
But so we get, and this is something that I really enjoyed because I'm still intrigued by the power of Nami. So this character has just really gotten under my skin in a good way. I mean, I'm really intrigued by figuring out who is this person.
You're trying to figure out the puzzle
right.
there.
Well, okay, because so here we have Vivi, and she's on Karoo, and here in the background we have got Nami, because she has grabbed Zoro and Luffy and she's pretty much slammed them together and stopped them from fighting. She's holding them here. She's holding them apart from killing each other there. And here she slams them both to the ground. And so you have these two super powerful, right? And Nami is manhandling them. And I've pointed this out once before, and it's happening again here. And so she may not have the power of the monster trio, but she's got a lot of power. And it's, so far, it's underplayed. I'm going to leave it right there.
I read into it a little bit more.
Okay.
It's very much no one on the crew really wants to with Nami. They just don't.
Okay.
They're all a little afraid of her. So even if they're trying to kill each other, they're not going to really do anything to her directly.
Okay.
And she's not going to be doing anything to them that they can't take.
Okay.
It's kind of a respect thing.
Okay.
That's how I read into it.
So here's the question.
At least that's how I read into it. Especially as you progress through the story.
Do we ever see her uncork? Do we ever see her uncork on a member of the crew? Now, those are my two questions. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Does she take the cap off the bottle of whoop ass? And all right. Anyway, so we get Vivi saved. Now she's going on the boat with them. They're going to head off to try and get her back home.
Yes.
All right. So we get to the portion of the story, and this is just kind of amusing. Princess Vivi accidentally tells the crew that Sir Crocodile is number 0 on Baroque Works, and so now the crew has
I love in that.
Yeah.
How Nami's like, nope, I'm out,
Yep.
and then the otter, drawn adorably,
Yes.
is just sitting there with a mugshot sketch of each of them, and she's like, oh, no.
That is hysterical.
It's so good.
Right.
That entire scene plays so well.
I mean, but she's freaking out. Zoro and Luffy think it's cool. Luffy says kind of exciting. It's almost if it never occurs to them that they could be beaten or be killed.
Yeah.
Or they just don't care. But in Luffy's case, I think it just doesn't occur to him. This is just an adventure. He's going on the adventure. Everything is fine. I noticed when I was reading this, Karoo is far smarter than I think Vivi realizes. Karoo makes it to the boat before anybody else.
Yeah, he does. I love that scene too. I can't leave that. You mean this bird?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He was here when I got here.
and I found that really kind of amusing. Okay. So we meet Miss All Sunday. She's enormously powerful. We figure out she's just killed Dr. Frankenfurter. It's too bad you read that before I said it. I was really wondering
I
if
didn't
I was-
mean to. I was just like doing a glance to see what the topic was, and my eyes went to Frankenfurter, and I'm like, ah.
You saw.
And now I have to read the context.
So we see what how do you say his name again? Agarami,
Ingram, I think.
origami.
Yeah,
You know,
origami.
all right,
We see origami.
You see him dressed as a decoy. He's dressed like Vivi, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And while I get the content, I could not help but get Rocky Horror Picture Show stuck in my head.
Oh, you think that's Rocky Horror Picture Show? Oh, just you wait.
Well, I know from glances at the anime that there's more to come, but I mean it was just stuck in my head,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So and then she doesn't fight. She doesn't fight
All
him.
Sunday.
Yeah, she doesn't. So today I stumbled across. Yes, sorry, I did just a tiny bit of research. One of our commenters said the only research I need to do is reading the next chapter. I loved that comment.
That's great.
That was hysterical.
That's fantastic.
But I did, and I came across an article in Business Insider. It was written in September of last year by Yomikun Adekairo.
Yomikun
Adekairo.
Okay, we
All
don't
right.
speak Japanese. We're sorry.
No, he's not Japanese. He's I'm going to guess South African. I saw his picture.
Oh, okay.
He's
Because I was like, I saw Kun, and I was
yeah,
like,
no,
okay.
and I looked up how to say a Yumakun online, and that's what I came up with.
Oh,
so
is it?
I did the phonetic.
My bad.
Anyways, the costume designer Diana Cilliers from the One Piece live action said that they tried very hard to keep the balance of innocence and purity of One Piece while simultaneously not taking anything away from the plot.
Okay.
And she was talking in reference to Nami's costume design.
Which is something that a lot of people did praise about it.
Well, so she added that while they initially gave Rudd short skirts in some of her costumes, they wanted to focus on Nami's nurturing personality in the Netflix series. Okay, so there's two things about it. One, they showed some side-by-side pictures in this article of costumes that she wears or clothes that she wears in the manga, and their costume design. Their costume designs are out of the manga. They're just out of different portions of it.
Yes.
Right? But when I read the line, Nami's nurturing personality, I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Did you read this thing? I have yet to see a nurturing personality. Now, in the live action, there is.
Yes.
In the manga, I haven't seen it yet.
Yet.
And so that little bit of research just left me laughing. So, I've got this. No, that's just like this. The printer spit that out. So I've got this love-hate thing going on with the presentation of the character in both mediums.
Mm-hmm.
While I really like the character, and I really like Rudd's performance, I really do. I think. I hope that the writers tweak it just a little bit to bring it more in line with the manga, because there's an unpredictability in her character, and she has no problems with turning on the charm.
I think we're good.
God bless you.
Thank you.
She has no problems with turning on the charm to get what she wants and manipulate the guys, and I think that it's a quality of her character that really needs to come out on screen.
She's a schemer. She's a little manipulator.
Oh yeah,
and it's smart on a pirate crew, especially.
Well, she's not going to be able to just turn that aspect of her personality off. That's been her entire life. It's going to take years of working with the crew before she gets to the point where she chooses not to.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody has to get to the point where you choose not to.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at on the One Piece journey. Now I've read Olive Garden, and I've read the part of the next aisle, and as soon as you come back from your trip, I want to hit those. I want to hit them right away.
Okay.
I will be ready for when you come back. But I'm gonna I have to take these in smaller bite-sized chunks because my brain just goes everywhere when I read these things, and in the finally being able to slow this down to incorporate the story and the details of the artwork has been a delightful change. I'm really enjoying it.
All right.
I'm really enjoying it. And every comment that has been given that has pointed out little things or where people share, what it was like for them growing up and reading it. I love those things. I just absolutely love those comments. So.
Oh, it's fun to read. They're always a fun read. The comment sections are always a joy.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
No, what about you? Because I tend to ramble a lot when we go through this.
It's lost its luster a little bit, but I genuinely in Whisky Peak, I love the detail that they're not actually like cactus rocks, that it's gravestones on the rocks.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's just a nice little dark edge.
I forgot about that.
Like,
yes.
You kind of summarize most of it in terms of everything. But I'm like, that's a moment where you're just kind of like, oh, that got dark real quick.
I had forgotten about that, but I do remember reading that on the plane. Yes.
Yeah. It's stuff like that where Oda just kind of breaks out a little bit and just like hits you with something out of nowhere that you're not expecting, and you're like, what? And it's in this case, it's not even like a crazy island-sized whale that you can go inside of because he read Jonah's story that day. It's very obvious what you could tell Oda was inspired by when you read stuff, and that's not a complaint. It's just fun,
right?
But or Pinocchio. It might have been Pinocchio, probably, knowing Oda and knowing Japan and Disney's really, and it probably was Japan or Pinocchio. I mean, Pinocchio. It probably was Pinocchio. But the when he slips the little details like that in, I love that stuff. Like it's just totally unnecessary, but man, am I glad it's there. Man, am I glad it's there. It's so good. So good.
I thanks for continuing guiding me on this journey. I am truly enjoying it, and
I'm excited, especially after Olive Garden.
All right, so that is it for this episode of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. If you like what you see here, leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are. I do truly enjoy reading them. I respond to as many as I can. If you're going to drop a spoiler, and you're free to, just put spoiler in the top line, and I will just skip over the comment. Noah will respond. And if you haven't done so already, if you would consider subscribing,
it would be wonderful.
Hit that subscribe button
and the bell, because apparently people lose these in their feed. I've just gotten a lot of those comments. But thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.